Let's have the Q&A session, not right now, but a little bit later. So when we run discussion for 10 minutes. So which section did you like best yesterday? What did you like most yesterday? I think Usyk, the boxer. Is that the one? So our objective is to be at least as good as that discussion. It was the most lively, most transparent, open, and we will try to do it as good as it was. That was entrepreneurship. Who is an entrepreneur? Who is a businessman in the audience? Almost all of you. I want to ask you something. What is entrepreneurship? Good afternoon. So yesterday we discussed it, and this is quite a tough notion. There are lots of entrepreneurs, but those who build a business and create companies is a different group of people. You can be a leader inside, but you can all. But who can say what entrepreneurship is? So I guess that entrepreneurship is monetization of the decisions of somebody else's solutions at the expense of your ideas. What is the difference between this and the business? This isn't a popular word, a widespread word. Petro, do you know that? I think that entrepreneurship is a means of self-expressing. So you express your ideas, thoughts. If I give the microphone to the audience, I think we'll have the many answers will be the many people, the many answers. So this is quite a topic. Let's start with it. I would like to tell you a funny story, and please imagine you're an entrepreneur and tell us what entrepreneurship is from your point of view. A funny story. Organizers of the Economic Forum had been chasing an entrepreneur who had never delivered any public speeches, and finally they managed to drag him into the audience. There's a lot of guests, journalists, cameras. This is a unique event, and the first question, how do you, so you're so successful in everything, all the projects, why? What? And he's been thinking for a long time, and the audience was silent, and he's been thinking the right decisions, he says. Everybody goes like, wow, clapping their hands, and the next question, the right decisions, how do you produce right decisions? He's been thinking experience, he goes like experience. Cool. And another question I'd like to ask you, what about experience? Where do you get your experience from? Wrong decisions, he says. So we decided, along with our entrepreneurs, build our discussions like this. We'll be speaking about right and wrong decisions and solutions, and it's better to speak with entrepreneurs, the founding fathers of the companies who know what entrepreneurship is. Vladislav Burda, Vladimir Avramenko, Alexander Zaklovsky, Vladimir Spivakowski. Vladimir, let's start with you and tell us about you and what do you think, what is entrepreneurship? My name, Vladimir Spivakovsky. Over the last 30 years, I've produced more than 50 different business projects, and 40 of them are successful, 10 not quite. And I'm the candidate of economic science. I'm head of Grant. That's an educational corporation. I reformed the educational system not only in Ukraine but also abroad. And now I've created an educative platform that is attended by 200,000 people from 12 countries of the world. I've written 7 books, and I have there's a Lyceum grant, which is the flagship of today's educational system, and we'll be talking about entrepreneurship. And let's talk about entrepreneurship right off the bat. Exactly. Entrepreneurship is a combinational style of thinking and lifestyle. When you have a dissipated system, collect them into the system project, which let you produce something that gives you money, helps you earn money. So if there's no money at the end, this is not entrepreneurship. And today's entrepreneurship is by far different from what it was like several years ago. Totally. Substantial differences happened from logical into illogical, non-logical systems. It's based on the behavioral economy and non-linear solutions in the field of entrepreneurship. Now, one move combinations are no longer buy, sell, they're gone. Even two-step combination when movie theaters sell popcorn, earning more popcorn than with the movies, and when the cars are sold with the repair works, and you earn more with the repair works than with the car. And the Pope invites musicians to the churches, because otherwise people never go to churches. There are two-step combinations done by people and by the countries. For example, a combinatorial phenomenon is a doctor. A doctor is a doctor, earns 8,000 hryvnias. If a doctor speaks English, he or she can earn more. He earning 15,000 hryvnias. If he or she knows computer science, he can forecast disease, diagnose disease, he can earn 40,000. And if he's a manager, he's got a managerial skills, he will set up his own clinic and will not be looking at the price list in the menu address. This is what China did in 50 years. So first, the goal that they have 1 cup of rice per person, 2 cups of rice per person. The next stage was not 3 cups of rice, but rice was just a garnish, and meat and some other economical stuff should be added to the plate. If you ask me about how, in one word, to define what is needed, what the quality, what the skill does the entrepreneur has got to have today, this is an expected skill, and it's got to do with the fact that this is behavioral. The economy, when income is no longer our lighthouse, when you can be losing but at the same time increasing capitalization, like Google, Manchester United, the capitalization, you see that they are losing but at the same time their capitalization is growing. What should an entrepreneur, what type of skill should an entrepreneur have in order to be on the reach? Only one word. This is passion. This is like when you play cards, when you give 7, you need to put 8 and 9 and 10 on top. Behavioral economy, the logic does not work anymore. And when you offer it a dame, the queen, you need to put a different card on top. So you need to put the king passion on top of that queen. Only then you'll see what future holds in store for you as an entrepreneur. Thank you very much. Nice beginning. Alexander. Good afternoon, everyone. And speaking about entrepreneurship and starting with funny stories, let me tell you another funny story to start with. A Jew goes to a rabbi complaining what to do. Business is a failure. The daughter is a whore. His son is stupid. The wife cheats on him. The rabbi tells him get a card and says things will never be like this, and plays that card on the most visible place at the study. Sometimes later they meet again. The rabbi says, "So what's up, man?" And the man says, "You know, the business is good. The daughter has married a nice man. The son is no longer stupid, attending a school. My wife no longer cheats on me. She loves me. She's pregnant, and things are just fine. What am I supposed to do next?" The rabbi says, "Don't remove the card with the name. Things will never be the same." So this is the very essence of the entrepreneurship and of the panel that we are having today. My name is Alexander Sokolovsky. It's a lot of fun to see the familiar faces in the audience and friends and partners, and I think that indirectly I know everyone here because we are a textile contact group, and probably even if we had any business relations, haven't had any contracts or in the past sports games, because we have some people we play games together. You either wear clothing that we made, or the clothing is made using our fabric, or you sleep using on the pillows, or put blankets when you sleep, or you sleep on mattresses or bed sheets that we produce. Or you might have attended our fashion week, or you may read my Facebook page or my blog at Борзревателя site UA. So I think that even with regards to today's panel, it would be good. Is there anyone in the audience who is a subscriber of mine or the friends of mine in the Facebook? So I've counted the number of hands. It would be nice in 90 minutes to check. If the number of hands will be fewer, some will unfriend me. Well, it means there are failures in real life as well. But if the number of friends go up, well done, I will tell myself. A few words about Textile Contact. We're a classic mid-business, mid-company with turnover for a company, Textile Contact, fabric producer, 700 million of grivnas. 800 people is what we employ without the production. We're talking about the employment at the main companies, and we are in. This is a classical B2B business and B2C as well. And the main thing that is that in our segment, in each of our segments, textile, home, textile, and we are the leading companies on the market. This is a good thing, and we enjoy it. We are developing actively, in addition to the retail, we also develop in internet sales, and it's good that over the period of 2 years, our internet shop, Textile Contact, is now #1 in Eastern Europe in terms of the size. And although we work only for the internal market, and we've also conquered, we also won the Ukrainian e-commerce award nomination, the choice of the consumer. Although we're a young shop, and we are leader, #1 now. The retail store Kashtan Chestnut is a leader in all over Europe. This is the largest network because few companies decide to sell fabric through retail store. We tried and we succeeded, and in everything we do, our objective is even if maybe textile production is not the largest type of business, but in each of the segment we have to be #1. So in this regard, this is the most important. If you do something, be #1 in what you do. And any businessman, my advice would go out, no matter what you start with, where you start with, at the village, at the street, be #1 in your village, be #1 in your street, be #1 in your district, and then be #1 in the country. If you do something, you gotta be the best. Thank you. Vladimir, you founded at least 2 companies I'm aware of. How many companies have you founded? Alexei, you've said that the first question will be to start to heat up the discussion. This is going to be a good heating up of the discussion because the entrepreneurship topic is so much multifacial, so you cannot say what an entrepreneurship is in one word. But what is love, for example? When I was traveling here, I was looking at the nice city, nice weather, and I'm well aware that we're all busy people. It's Friday today, and the weekend is coming, and I'd love each of us to produce something positive that will help you and me in our future lives. I would like to share some ideas that may be of good use to you. Well, yesterday I was watching forum online via the internet, and I have certain conclusions that I've made. Those are my individual conclusions. This is the International Economic Forum. This is a big event, and I'd like to express my gratitude to the organizers of the forum, and I'd like to express my gratitude to the moderator. And what I've learned from yesterday, micro figures, micro problems, and I've realized that the main thing that I've realized is that robotization, artificial intelligence, money problems, or cash problems, and when we check the conclusions of international experts, then Ukraine is the outsider, ranked 87. There's nothing to be happy about. But when we split this figure in segments, there's one factor that shocks me personally. Out of ranked 87 in terms of competitiveness, the level of our training of exact science. We rank 21st in the quality of teaching exact science, mathematics. We're not in the middle, we're among the leading countries. So when we talk about artificial intellect, I started thinking what it is. I have some vague notion what artificial intelligence is all about. Probably you have the same vague perception of that. But when I work at the FMCG market and I realized that people like organic and natural stuff that doesn't damage your health, let's not talk about artificial intelligence, but let's stress the natural intellect. Meaning you and I. If teaching science is we rank 21 in science teaching, this is our strong point. If we run the SWOT analysis, then we realize that yes, there are problems in certain fields, but the level of intellect of the nation, the level of the education, the quality of education is quite high. So let's not bury natural intellect. Let's speak about let's talk about it because this is you and I hope that you're here for that, because each of you has chosen his or her path to follow. There are no people who are sitting on a fence, because this is a serious event and you all have problems, ideas, tasks, wishes, and you've already put on the altar of your business certain effort, and I hope you will continue. So I hope that
from artificial intelligence to natural intelligence, still it's a long way to go. Definitely we have to deal with AI and robotization and automatization, but first of all we have to look at our society. I think I'll always be proud of the fact that my entrepreneurship experience is similar to the age of independent Ukraine. I started in 1991, and I know what I should be talking about. I would say that for this period of time, I mean, since 1991, the society has changed and has changed dramatically. What is 1991? This is the society brought up in the Soviet Union. At that time, the entrepreneurship spirit was persona non grata. You could not be advocating it, you could not talk about it. People were Soviet people. And the first entrepreneurship were not accepted very well. They were considered as somebody suspicious. And when my wife was just having a walk with her friends, and she said that her husband was producing sweets, actually her friends were sympathizing with her. They considered it was something wrong to do. And my colleagues at that time and later actually felt this attitude of society, I mean negative attitude of society, the attitude of the press, the attitude of mass media, the attitude of the government. And now I'm really happy that it is the 5th International Economic Forum in KIEF, and finally the country and the society understood that these are the entrepreneurs who make the future, who form the future. Economy makes the way for the future, and entrepreneurship is the basis for the economy. Not a single country managed to build a state without the economy. So we are the basis for this country, for this state. And if we take the correct steps, and if we try to stimulate the state organizations to do it, I think we'll be able to accelerate and to make even more progress. So this forum is not just the platform to talk and to discuss something. No, we have to conclude, to make some conclusions. We have to initiate something, and we have to launch these initiatives together with the government institutions. Yesterday, one of the speakers said that somehow Kyiv community buys trams and trolley buses produced in Poland and not in Ukraine. We have to understand who is to blame. These Kyiv community, they pay taxes and they understand, probably they have chosen Polish tram term because it is much better than Ukrainian one, and we have to understand why it is so. So the issue we discuss is that entrepreneurship is what we are doing. It is our essence. And we have to understand that it is forever. And we put all our efforts in what we are doing, into what we are doing. And it is on the level of DNA. And the matter is that everybody has some DNA. Somebody has more genes, entrepreneurship genes, somebody less. But we talk about the environment we live in. And in Ukraine, the environment already accepts entrepreneurship and favors entrepreneurship, and I think we'll be moving forward owing to this. Really a good answer. Entrepreneurship is the driving force for developing our country. Vladislav? What is entrepreneurship for you? My name is Vladislav Burda. I'm 46. I was born in Odessa. I'm married. I have 4 kids, and I'm a chronic entrepreneur. It is really a great pleasure for me to be present here because I'm very often, very seldom invited as entrepreneur because more often I'm invited as the founder of Red Hat Family Corporation. In the past, really, I started with some entrepreneurship activities. And please put on this slide, I structured my 4 businesses, my 4 companies. I want you to understand how they look. Currently, my company is called Red Hat Family Corporation. It is one of those few companies that have the word family in the very title of the company, and you immediately understand it is family-based. It was founded in 1994, and it consists of 3 big blocks. One big block is core business Antoshka shops, Smarty Family, 10,000 clients, distribution of foodstuff for children, and Daniel is family outsourced boutiques. We have 12 boutiques. It is not in the corporation. My wife has a separate business, and she's managing the network, Daniel. And private non-core business, probably non-key business, but also quite significant, and it helps the key businesses. So it is lots of people try to provide services to these clients. The average growth of this business is about 20%, and for entrepreneurship, the average period is 25 years. So just imagine if you have a business with profit $1 million, and if you were growing for 25 years, and if you had 20% every year, it means you have increased the profit about 100 times, and the next generation will have about $100 million. Have a look how it is structured, how our family company is structured. You see here 4 colors. Orange colors are all representatives of Red Hat. That's me, my sons, Dima and Sasha. All these children were born in different marriages, therefore they have different DNAs. Green color is my wife and my daughter-in-law. And 17 and 11, these are my younger sons. They are interns in our business, and next year we hope we shall have the 3rd generation because my daughter-in-law is pregnant, and in March I will become a grandfather. So this is our family business, and if we talk about my company, and if you have a look at the companies all over the world, so 20% will be assets and 80% will be goodwill. So entrepreneurship are the people who create this goodwill, who create this added value. You have been talking about children. short question to you. What do you think? Should your children be entrepreneurship? Will they be entrepreneurs? The most important thing for any private business, not necessarily family business, first of all, we have to create wealth. First of all, we have to create wealth. So the founder of business is this wealth creator. And the point is whether there will be this wealth creator in the second generation. And in the third generation, usually we talk about certain transformation of business. And if we manage to bring up a person who will be able to transform your business, then you have all the chances to preserve it. The average statistics all over the world is 30% that the business will be preserved in the second generation. The average statistics for us it is that 90% will be preserved in the next generation. So if you teach the next generation how to be a responsible owner, if you created corporate governance that consists of the board on the one hand and the family council on the other hand, then your your children will be quite comfortable with being responsible owners, not necessarily entrepreneurs. Vladimir, what about you? What about your children? Will they want to be entrepreneurs, or should they be entrepreneurs? So you're talking about my family. Yes, we also have a family business, though during our period of existence of our company we had different shareholders, including American Venture Fund. I think that every business should be natural business, and therefore children should choose their own way. My children probably are entrepreneurs. They are in IT business. My company is not family-based company. I'm trying to build my company according to family structure, according to international structures. It is transparent. Okay, but it can be both. I know that there are lots of companies who have 100, 200-year experience, like for these are big and small companies, and each company has its own way. What I have chosen for me,
a child at high school, the secret of entrepreneurship. They can be successful and not that successful. Please tell us your most interesting entrepreneurship story, with secrets if possible. My first slide will be up. That is the combination in business. I've shown very frankly how the things happen with the tiers, with the calculations, losses, and ups and downs. This is the book that I wrote because entrepreneurship now has different shapes. There are projects I love and invested a lot of tears, sweat, energy, but the most important is to run until the end. Show me the last slide, because this is the one I like the most. You walk all the way through, and at the end you see what happens. This is what happens on the path of an entrepreneurship, and once he got 99% covered, there's 1% that you have no strength, no money, no time to make that final step. But the summit is so close, but there's nothing you can do. You're out of your strength. And the worst part is that this damn millimeter needs as much resource as those tortured me, the British. Send us the picture, send us the catalog, send us the origin, send us the examination, no, send us the... I went back and I wanted to push and go all the way till the end, even that 1 millimeter was tough one to go. So I've been sent a list of documents, including an agreement, just like an insurance company sends, written in small letters, 100-page long. One of the items was just horrible. It said that in case if you are featured in the book of records, you lose the right of for your collections, and the collections will be owned by the Guinness Book of Records. Come on, I had been collecting it, and now you owners of the collection. Come on, no way. So I put my strength, I put myself together, I called that manager in Britain, and I tell him, "Sir, what the hell? How can this be?" And he goes like, imagine he's smoking cigar, you know, and he goes like, Mr. Spivakovsky, in case of your collection of pyramids will make it into the book of records, it will belong to the mankind. And I was like, go numb, like I give it a second, I go, okay, I agree. Because there's not a greater happiness, so it goes like this, you know. And it started when I was a child. I lived for a long time in Odessa, and when all the guys I asked, what would you like to be, and people would go like a firefighter or astronaut, I like to boast, drag a little bit. My grandfather asked me once, being at the seaside, what would you like to be? And I decided to boast, it's Odessa, and I want to be a sailor, I said. And then I gave it thought for a second. I thought for a second, and he goes like, why don't you become the best sailor in the world? My grandfather goes, so, although this line sounds absurd, but I carried it all through my life. So the best record in the world, the best books that I think, the one that I published, I made it, the Educational Explosion became #1 book in Ukraine. Speaking about education, and let's talk about education for a little while, I decided to kind of undermine the entire educational system of the world. This may sound pathos, but you cannot, well, you can dream. Dream is okay, you cannot take that away from me. I thought, what's wrong with the educational system in the world? Not everyone likes high school, you know, and stuff like that. And you cannot even imagine what I detected. Education in the world is the only branch which never has heard the word marketing, which doesn't have the word marketing in its dictionary. It's never been studied what to train, who to train for, how much it costs, so no marketing present. I opened up my mouth and I got happy. If it doesn't exist, I shall introduce it. And I ran the marketing research, and I detected what children should be trained for, who should train, when, how, and stuff like that. And it's all well described. And currently I consult these projects, my projects in California, in Hong Kong, and Dubai. We developed we reformed the educational system. And we do it a little bit in Ukraine. Let me tell you, to get into that world market is an easy thing. Everybody attended high school. Everybody know how boring those classes are, geography, mathematics. Raise your hand. They are boring, aren't they? So, well, and I turned everything upside down. The classes that used to be boring, I turned them into case classes, case periods. Instead of training basic theory stuff, I give a phenomenon, like for example, then I connect physics, art, chemistry, and everything. So I created 500 case classes, case period. I made them available at the internet platform, and it turned out that the world has been waiting for that. These periods, these classes are so much unique and popular. I've been issued a patent by the U.S. Congress Library. It turned out that you can change things easy. You simply have to understand what the world is missing, go into that market, and offer that what is not currently available at the market, what the market is missing. Sorry. Well, thank you very much. It's been hard to interrupt you, but thank you very much. Secret stories, secret entrepreneurship stories that you would like to share with us. I'm going to violate the logics. Who would like to say something? Shall we start from this side? Well, it's up to you. And
now you can talk for hours and hours, and we see that not much time is left. But speaking about the success and the failures, that's the topic of what we're discussing today. Let me tell you what success is. For a lot of business people, success is financial figures, income, the ranking at the Forbes magazine. For me, this is a harmony and pleasure from what I do. If a business person has not been contaminated with that state, if he or she is not exhausted and tired 24/7, this is success. In addition to financial figures, you need to be able to catch up
with the development. You need to find time to read something, to do some sports, to spend some time with your family, with your kids. My wife is in the audience. She's been supportive of me, and so much important. A business person without a sound, strong family is not a successful person. So for me, I dedicate time over the recent 3 to 4 years. I started writing. Whenever I have a free time, whenever I have to splash something out of my mind. Not to break. I don't break stuff. I write something. I write a problem. I write a post on the Facebook, and I show in the Facebook using the examples from my life. Some problems get resolved. Some problems don't get resolved. But by raising the problem and showing the case to the other people, you figure out that's a lot of fun and it's good. And some people may get help, and you can get help. But some people don't have time to do that because you get sucked by the day-to-day routine. Social responsibility. You need to make the entire world happy. I'm just narrowing the scope of. I want Ukrainians be happy. I want to be of good not only to the business, to my family, but also do good to the business circles of Ukraine. I will never become a politician, but I would like to dedicate time to the Federation of Employers of Ukraine, the Association of Ukrainian Entrepreneurs. I recently made it into the board of directors, and Mr. Burda is also part of that association. So I think that it is so much important that over the recent years there's a group that Law 3357, that's a tax reform group. They lobby tax reforms. They want to improve the business climate in the country, and they are for real. They produce the product that is meant to improve the situation in the country. They produce draft law. So I want this product be implemented, started next year. The withholding tax law be adopted, and somebody's got to do that because we need to improve the business climate, because the government thinks that business is the cow that you can milk forever and ever, but the government talks to us only when they need us. We don't have that day-to-day dialogue in between the business and the government. So we need to be present in the government if we want the reform to happen. Somebody's got to be the advocate of what we have in our mind. We don't want preferences. We want transparent rules of the games that we've been lacking, that will have us cut our Soviet heritage. Our task is to get rid of all the socialism and all the Soviet heritage. And if you're honest, if you pay taxes, you don't want to be given 90% of what you earn as taxes. Thus, everybody goes into gray economy. We won't be transparent. We want to play the open and transparent rules. And for example, with our turnover of 700 million over the last year average, we've paid 112 millions in taxes, which is for one person 142 hryvnias per year per an employee of our company. So we have the right to demand, because we pay that money as taxes, and we want that money be distributed the right way, correctly, and want the state of Ukraine get richer. We want to be able to retain people in Ukraine so that people never leave for other countries. We know how deplorable state of affairs is. At the same time, I'd like to distribute my time 50-50. So things that have nothing to do with my business, 50%, and 50% I allocate to my work. And I've managed to do that because 10 years ago, one of the most successful successes I can tell you about is the operational management of Textile Contact has been transferred, where I was a director, was transferred to the managerial board. Thus I have some more free time, and I now can have an opportunity to do everything I've been telling you about. At the same time,
And the business is working quite successfully, and it is not obligatory that the owner should be involved in business. In the past, we were trying to develop retail and e-commerce. Now we try to focus more on production. Our company will open new textile production at the end of the year instead of the plant we had in Donetsk that was responsible for 60% of our production. So this year we open a new plant in Chernigov. We also have already constructed the first plant. Unfortunately, we lost one, which is in Donetsk, in the non-government controlled area. So we also have a special plant on threads production in Borispol. We try to extend the current production plant in Odessa. And why we are not afraid of focusing more on production? This is the example of one of our plants, and our plant actually was almost ruined, was almost destroyed, and in 2002 the bankruptcy procedure was announced, and out of 75 hectares of land, 25 hectares were occupied by the premises. We brought all the equipment they had, we added some new equipment, and actually for the first 2 years, taking into account that there were already some players in the market, our plant became a leader in the market, and we started producing 2/3 of light fabric in Ukraine. And actually up to 2014 we produced about 25 million meters fabric a year. So we are not afraid of production-oriented projects, and we understand that now the economic environment is very complicated, is challenging, I would say even aggressive, but still production is our focus, and we are going to develop in this respect. And the topic is from failures to success, but probably I would like to kindly interrupt you, and let's start live discussion. Vladimir, do you have any stories which might be interesting for all entrepreneurs? Actually, I wanted to ask you. You asked us about failures and successes, and what are the criteria of evaluate for success? It seems to me it's individual for a person, because everybody has its own understanding of entrepreneurship and success and love. So what's love? I think everybody will have his or her own idea of what it is. When you were talking about this, I think that still lots of people have Soviet approach, when entrepreneurs were seen as not pleasant people whose only aim is to earn money. I would say between entrepreneurship and money is just the same connection as between love and sex. So I don't know what is important for somebody else. I will talk about me. When any startup is developed, definitely people work a lot to take all the efforts, and as a result they have some profit, they have money, and this is the first stage. But later it is changed, and we see how successful entrepreneurs already are involved in some charitable activities. So it means they do not focus exclusively on profits and on money. So what is success for me? I have been in entrepreneurship since 1991. So the first big success for me was appearance of my company. I had an idea, nobody supported me. In 1991, I thought about producing sweets, and at that time people didn't have money for just usual food. So I had this idea for a year, and I understood it is okay, it is fine with me. I didn't have enough funds, and when I started sharing this idea with my colleagues, nobody supported me. Finally, I found my fellow thinkers. We organized this production, Everybody was sympathizing with me and considered me to be very strange. But now I understand that it was the first big success when the company was born, when we got the first profit, when we occupied a certain position in the market. It is my big success, and I want all of you to have that moment of success. Another success story I would like to share with you. By the way, it is owing to my initiative. AVK, Sweet Company, is the pioneer of establishing or creating the modern confectionery industry in Ukraine. There are already our followers, but still our industry is probably the most powerful industry in Eastern Europe. It is not Poland, it is not Romania, or other countries like post-Soviet countries cannot compete with Ukrainian confectionery industry, which is the key element in the food industry of our country. And it is confectionery industry that generates added value, that produces sweets that are consumed all over the world. And actually our plant was the pioneer in this field. So another story of success I would like to share is that we got a grant, venture capital, from American government, and in a certain period of time the company bought our own shares, 25% back, and the American government recognized it as the best investment in Ukraine. So they invested $8.9 million, and in 2013 they had 45 million. And you understand what it was. It was jackpot. And to be recognized as the best investment is really important. And later, 1 year later, I found out that the American government did not expect that that investment would be successful, moreover in the former Soviet Union Republic, and they did not expect that there will be certain return. And they took a decision that 50% of that money will be spent on paying the grants to the Ukrainian children of Ukrainian origin who study in the US. I didn't know whether Ukrainian students who were studied in America at that time knew about it, but I think this is one of my success stories, and I'm really proud of it. And the third point was when, well, actually, one of our panelists mentioned that he lost certain production facilities in the east of Ukraine. The same, we also had the same story. We've lost about 50% of our production capacity, and we faced the challenge to be or not to be. By the way, it was not 50, it was 70%. But I organized our team. We managed to survive. We managed to stand. And currently, our company, for the recent 5 years, is developing. We have fully transformed our business model. We try to focus on our global presence, on external market. We pay taxes, we pay salaries, and we are confident about our future. It is our success when we talk about modern period. The state thinks, the government thinks that the key point for any business is its statute. For us, it's our family genogram. And for all my life, as an entrepreneur, I'm trying to understand why I have been doing it. And there is an interesting theory by Irina Lina, which is called roots and wings. Roots is something what you started from, and wings, what you are dreaming of. When I was 6 years old, my parents divorced, and I stayed with my mom. And at that time, the most important thing for me was to understand why my father left us and how I will live without my father. Sometime later, I got ill. I had bronchial asthma, and actually for 4 or 5 years I spent lots of time in hospitals. Later I went into sport and managed to improve my health. So at that time my primary task was to survive. And when my first child was born, and my wife couldn't breastfeed him because she didn't have enough milk, and at that time I was trying to organize that feeding for my newborn son. And so I started thinking about distribution business, then Antoshka, and definitely it was more not only about food for kids, but also clothes, toys, etc. So that was the point that brought me into the business. A good entrepreneur is like a good architect. He or she sets up a company, and the company will be a good product itself. So as an architect, you build a good theater, this theater will stand there forever. So the same is about entrepreneurship. You build the company, and then somebody else will have to do something for the company to go on. So I have chosen the model of family business, and I started thinking about my kids, whether they will be able to do what we are doing. Our eldest son has always been interested in legal and economic issues. The second son has always been a deal maker. He was the best winner, the best player in Monopoly, and nobody even wanted to play with him because he was just genius at playing Monopoly. And now he deals with property issues in our company. And the task was actually in their childhood to understand how they will do in business. In 2015, we went to Vienna, to Austria, and we met the owner of Zahir Hotel, and she is the owner of that hotel in the third generation, and she gave us very interesting insights. She's 68 years old, and she wanted to give her business to the fourth generation. And she said that I understood that for me to give this business to my daughter, I have to occupy myself with something. And then I decided to construct another hotel in Salzburg, and I moved to Salzburg. And at that time, I understood why I was so passionate about my association of owners of family companies, because it was that energy vacuum for me in case I leave my business and give it to my children. And Antoshka's mission is to help children to survive, to provide the best products for the kids, to provide the best intellectual toys and books, etc. This is my business, and the Association of Family Business shows how the very business can survive and shows some hereditary things. I would like to show our genogram. When we look at it through the prism of our 4 kids, and when we try to see our age, Vladimir just said, was commenting on the issue, what is the age when you can see that somebody may become or may not become the entrepreneur? I would say that it's important here not to lose that period of time when you can give the business to your children, because the owner's life cycle is 25 years, and it means you have 5 years when you can give the business to your children. So I'm in business for 20 years already, and for the first part in business you are very efficient, the second part of the business you are less efficient. So it means now I'm at that stage when I can give the business either to my children or probably to certain professional people. And still, your children should be either engaged, the way we do it in our company. We have a museum where we show the stages of engagement. For instance, the kids went to negotiations when they had their internship, when they were doing something about the company. And in future, when they start doing it professionally, they always have an option that they can go to the board when they achieve some professional competence.
So, the final slide, the third one, please. The further development look like this. All the owners, when someone together, and all the children went together, they start realizing the burden on their shoulders, that they have to continue the business. They are not alone. They have somebody to share the business with. When we meet, there are 48 families, 186 participants. We have an ecosystem, family business magazine issued every 3 months. It enables them to know how they can pick up that relay, continue that real race, and not become generation lost, and keep on promoting the business, because entrepreneurs sometimes are so much involved in their business, they know that they have to be linked to the business. Then you have the generation gap or generation lost. Like, for example, we have the Elizabeth II and Prince Charles. Prince Charles will be skipped, and the next monarch will probably be the Queen's grandchild. So we need to find the DNA of each child, the destination, and then check the diagram of the child so that the child be placed into the family business, so that everybody enjoys that business, just like you go to an opera house to listen to opera singers sing. Now this is the toughest question. We're going to talk about failures. Please give us examples of the failures that you've had and the lessons that you've learned, the most precious ones. Vladislav, let's start with you. The largest failure of mine has been that we've taken lots of loans before 2008, and then all of a sudden we realized that we couldn't service those loans. The banks were staying in queue, asking us to loan from them, but then we thought that we wouldn't turn to the funds, we would stay family business, but we couldn't calculate the leverage, we didn't have any debt ratio, interest coverage, we didn't even know what it was. We were given money, we were taking the money. We had so much loans taken from different banks, so when the crisis started, banks wanted their money back, and I was surprised. How come? I thought that banks would give us the money, we pay interest rate, we service the loans, they have certain amount of deposits, the banks are placing their capital, we're a reliable company, we service the capital, and we're going to be expanding, and we will be paying more interest rate. But it turned out that following the crisis, limits got shrinked. They had offices of foreign banks that wanted to leave Ukraine ask their money back, and the banks told us, would give us our money back. I was shocked, literally. I didn't thought it would happen, didn't know it may happen. Then I started looking if my business can generate money, and the answer was no, because the business had the best P&L, but all the money we generated were dug into debitor, and we'd expanded our working capital. Everything was good on paper. We were paper rich, cash poor. And the lessons, the number one lesson we learned, that over the 10 years, 2008 to 2018, we have learned to become business that is able to generate cash. We realized if we cannot generate cash, we will go bankrupt, because the banks will demand us to return their money before we earn that money. This is lesson number one. We are a cash-generating business. We owe nothing to the bank. I've been to the bank, and my stance has been different. The banks respect us more, and this is the secrets. How can you get transformed into a cash-rich company? Well, it's a lot more time we need to, for me, I need more time to explain it, but in a nutshell, my technique is to be one notch higher. If I'm a CEO, I have to be a board member. I should act as a board member. And what leadership is for me? This is the budget, and the budget has got to have the certain size of growth. You have 1 year to make that budget reality. If not, you have second chance. If you fail for the second time, the CEO should be substituted. If I substitute the CEO for 3 times, I step in. If I fail, then I shut down the business. That's a 3-layer, 3-stage procedure, which is quite complicated. What did you have to change to become a cash-generating company? You need to make the business think in cash and profit. If you have P&L and KPI, the owner never sees the money. The first half of my life I spent to make the business profitable, and the second half of my life is to get the profit from the business. And this is a constant struggle, because the business can show you good figures, but you don't have money, you are not getting money. This is tough work, how to get money from your business, and you have to be very inventive, no matter how attractive and profitable on paper your business is. Thank you very much. Vladimir. I'm ready to start. When I was with AVK confectionery company business, I was thinking to improve it and make it more profitable. There was a peculiarity, seasonability. In summer, chocolate is not well sold, it melts the chocolate. In summer we lose, in winter we earn. This is the problem that's been itching inside me for some time. Then an American fund president approaches me and tells me, Vladimir, you're such a cool manager, help us with one of our investment in Volyn region. We invested 5 million there to produce ice cream. Things are okay, good equipment, nice quality, but well, not good sales. So I said, good, this is exactly what I've been thinking about. So this is the ice cream, these are the cones, these are the shareholders, and I've been also motivated. I quit AVK business, left it to the managers to run it, and I went to Volyn district, Volyn, nice place, the Shatsky Lakes. I went there only once, but that was my passion, so I wanted, it took me 2 years to set up the true, real business that the Americans were happy with. That was a felicitous business in just a matter of 2 years, but the most important, I didn't find any synergy, and I was amazed. Everything seemed to be okay, the raw material, the people, the equipment, the distribution, but no synergy. And then, when I realized that, I went back to the AVK and I realized that I have to pay for everything. Definitely, I tick the box in my mind that I'm not successful in that. You have to live with the seasonability of products, with sales up in summer, but the tempo of the development of the AVK company is lower because I wasn't there. Because didn't work for 2 years, so this is one of the brightest cases that I've had in my life, and I know that each and every one of you're people who got engaged easily. This is good and this is bad. Without being easily engaged, you wouldn't become entrepreneurs. But there's so much seduction around you, but you have to get focused on one thing to be more successful. Another important thing that the books tell you a lot about, I read it but never understood what it was all about. That's the comfort zone. When we feel that we're in a comfort zone, everything's okay, the figures are good, we work according to the plan, we're profitable, the problem is just around the corner, I'm telling you. Well, 70% of our business was we sent 70% of our product to Russia. The similar tastes, the similar consumers. Every half an hour we would send a truck of our products to Russian Federation all the way to Vladivostok. We're so much happy that we beat the Russian competitors of ours. We became cooler, tougher, but subconsciously I felt, what if something goes wrong? And I tell myself, what will go wrong? And that wrong did happen. And that greenhouse effect is what we had to pay dearly. So that is why this experience, this failure, has taught me a lot, and I would like to convey to you my experience. I will never have that bad situation. We have lots of, we sell to 60 countries in a matter of 4 years, and I know that this is a totally different level of reliability. I'm not afraid that something happens in one of those 60 countries. Tomorrow we'll be present in 70 countries. So if something goes wrong in one country, we'll be pretty much happy in 59 others. Now, success stories to failures. I've spoken that how we managed to recover Donetsk plant and restore the production and reached good quantities. And what happened in 2014, all the investments, about 12 millions of USD, we lost because the plant is in the territory that is occupied, and there's little hope that we have it back. We have no illusions about it, but we have to move on, and we have to gradually, step by step, move on. I would like to quote that is so dear to any businessman. Winston Churchill says that success is not definite, failure is not definite. What matters is to continue to move on. So if you're an entrepreneur, follow this quote. Any business person, you have reasons for failure that you can explain, that you cannot explain. Everybody wants to tell that it's not your problem, but the problems are external, not internal. There's some problems that are beyond the control of the person who is failing. Well, it's hard to say if it's right or wrong. A lot of people complain that there was the banking crisis in 2008. The banks, you had to return the money to the banks. Definitely did impact a lot of businesses. We happily avoided that because in 2008, just a couple of months before the crisis of September 2008, in summer 2008, we had managed to sell Alta Center, a mall in Petrovka district of KIEF that we had built from scratch. We had developed it, and we had sold it with great profit. If we hadn't, it would have been much difficult on us, because 2/3 of it was bought using the loan money. But luckily we had escaped that. But we didn't escape committing some other errors. For example, the two formats that I had invested dearly, we're a little bit ahead of time, those two formats, and I lost a lot of money, several millions of dollars we lost. We were trying to set up a local Zara, clothing for the entire family, Tuso. We wanted to replicate Zara's success, and we had some stores from 600 to 1,000 square meters. And we had 10 stores, but when the crisis of 29 came, we started experiencing losses. We did have some profit in 2007, 2008, but when we experienced losses of 2009, we gave this project to Arbor, and Arbor buried that project. The reason why it happened, because the format was a department store approach, the store for the entire family, because it was premature. should have been opened now. Like H&M is launching its outlet in KIEF, and there's some other stores that are working successfully in Ukraine. But back then, Tuso was a new thing, and
another interesting brand that is part of our portfolio. We invested a lot into it, but so far it has not become very topical and popular, and we didn't find an investor. It is the International Center for Wholesale Trade. We also established the project until 2008. We bought the land, and it was for 250,000 square meters. It was the trade center, or let's say the trade town, for the wholesale traders. We have similar formats which are successful in Poland, in Turkey, in Italy, and we wanted to provide an alternative to the Odessa market, 7th kilometer, etc. And we thought the state would understand that the textile products cannot be sold on the black market and can be illegally brought into the country. Unfortunately, this is still the case, and we understand that we haven't seen any significant changes in the field, and there is no vision, there is no strategy, there is no planning with any government that is in power, and this project is hanging in the air. So we invested millions of dollars into the project, and so far we did not have anything from it. And in 2008 we even started choosing people who already signed at that time the memorandum of intentions that these were fabric, textile retailers, etc. Currently, we try to develop production line, and do not exclude that probably it is a mistake, because the president promised one of the taxes for business for the imported capital. It means if you reinvest into your business, you do not pay tax, but if you take the profit from this business, you should pay that tax. And if for developing businesses it's an important law, what business is? It is the search for competitive advantages, and definitely you should look for such competitive advantages. Without them, you won't be able to see the result. Lots of people went abroad for the recent years. Just think, for 1 hour and a half we have this panel. About 180 people leave Ukraine. So they left Ukraine, and this year the figures will be even probably higher. It means we lose labor resources, and it means we should step away from export of labor resources to export of product resources. We have perfect geographical location, and we have some hope that it will be the case. And sooner or later we are going to have investments, but it's necessary to have more active position in order to have this. Vladimir, we really would like to have some time for questions, so please try to be like coining the most interesting failures for you. Lots of people know about our Lyceum, and for 30 years I have lots of offers about franchising, and these were offers from Kazakhstan to Australia. And 3 similar schools were opened in Nikolaev, Kherson and Odessa, so we decided to fund them. 1 year later, I closed these schools, and I said no to franchising in the field of education. It is impossible to organize it on a good scale. It is impossible to ensure high quality. It cannot be similar to burgers, the same we have in McDonald's. So now the whole education is in the internet, and internet-based education is really a positive experience, unlike that franchising story. when we talk about franchising in terms of education, I was not alone in the field. I decided to study the story, but it was only my personal negative case, and I studied the issue. And I thought why the richest people, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, they do not want to invest in education. They invest in vaccination, all this stuff, but not in education. But I was mistaken. Bill Gates invested in one of the schools, and again it failed. Mark Zuckerberg, because before his son was born, again invested millions of dollars into the neighborhood schools, and in a year he faced the same failure. Elon Musk, he is my idol. He established school for 25 children, just for 25 children, out of them 5 were his own kids. And still it is not a success. And it turns out that the richest and the smartest people cannot organize franchising in the field of education. What was the problem? And the problem was actually outlined by one of the Chinese tycoons. He had lots of funds and he addressed the company, what is the best investment of $3 billion, and they said, you should invest not into the satellites, not in the cars, not in the phones. The most promising field, which has never been invested in, is education. And he invested $3 billion into education. And last week there was an announcement that United Arab Emirates, very close to Dubai, they wanted to construct the agglomeration, and the center of this agglomeration will be the system of education. The investment are $500 billion. So it will be based on, everything will be all around education. And in our forum, I found the confirmation to this. Go to Expo Center and you will see the virtual reality, virtual glasses. You will see all things related to neurons. You will see drones. So you will see the technologies. And I'm speaking about it. And if we already apply it in the modern system of education, the system of education which is invested in, this is what is meant by modern education. And this system is underestimated. The system of education is outdated and archaic because it still uses this labor force. Technologies are everywhere, but only in education we still have a teacher and the blackboard or the whiteboard and with all this stuff. So currently the system of education is the field which has never been invested in, and it is only now when the first investments in the field appear. And I hope we'll be successful in investing in this sector. Thank you, Vladimir. You are really passionate about what you are talking. And I would like to ask the first question, and actually it is very close to what you have said just recently. The question is, what are your pieces of advice or recommendations to the beginners, to the entrepreneurs who only start, just to see the opportunities and corporate culture? It is very important from the very first days of any business to search for, to start and find your own business, to see the reasons why you are doing it, why you are passionate about it, why you are enthusiastic about this business, until the rest will come. I mean, the education, the mentorship, the corporate culture. If the environment sees that somebody is passionate about something, even about the smallest idea, still you have to understand that you are authentic for this idea, and all the rest will come with your efforts. Each of us is a product of previous generation. Therefore, my piece of advice is to find time and to be able to hear yourself, to listen to your own ideas and thoughts. You have to understand that you are just as you are. You will not be a different person. And if you understand that something is yours, just go forward, don't be afraid of anything, and you will be a winner. And by the way, today is Friday. I like very much one philosophical film, and please watch this film. You will enjoy it because it has everything. The film is entitled A Good Year, with Russell Crowe playing the main character. I have my own formula of success. I have a number of these formula, and depending on the problem or depending on the failure, I choose this or that one. These are like that. What is success? Success in Russian is from the word to manage. And if you manage, that's okay. So I try to do everything very quickly, to switch from one thing to another very quickly. Therefore, I manage a lot for one period. Another point is the line of failure may become your runway. The third point is we have life geometry, and the straight line is not always the easiest one. The fourth formula is that brain often substitutes money. Believe me, sometimes lack of money is well compensated by your brain activities, by your ideas and thoughts. And I always teach my students, try to aim to focus on the moon. Even if you do not aim at the moon, you won't be able to achieve it, but you will be surrounded by stars. And if you aim at something very primitive, definitely you can aim at, you can achieve it, but who will be around you or what will be around you? And I hope you'll be lucky. Some people say that you will be lucky just because you've done something good, this good will come back to you. Sometimes you have to be lucky just because you are. So let us all be lucky. And I would like to add one more point, probably the key principle. Our company was born on the 1st of April, and it is the day of humor. So please have your sense of humor. Even if you have some failures, even if you lose some money, have this sense of humor. Please switch on the fourth slide of my presentation. Just 1 month ago, we published a book which is entitled Textile Smile, and there are more than 100 stories in the book. These are stories of people who work in our company since 1995. And it is the first volume, and now we already published the second one. So first of all, we were present in Facebook. So these are real stories of real people. And so we have several stories, including my stories. It's funny, it's good, and talking about books, we organize competitions. The best hat, the nicest textile bag. So when we have our corporate day, so we organize such things. We take photos, then we publish them, and all people get it as a present. So Textile Smiles is the book you can buy in the bookshop, and really it is interesting for many business people, and I hope it might be a relay in the field of business. Probably some other businesses will also share their experience about their corporate culture. So people should be retained not only with financial means, but also with something else. And the second question will be about the books and about the brains. Should we read the books about entrepreneurship if these books were published, let's say, 5 years ago? Not a single person has become rich by reading books. Well, quite unexpected answer from you. Well, people rarely follow recommendations read in the book. why you should read the books in order to emerge into a certain field, but you are part of the environment, you are part of culture, you are part of business, and within that environment you have become more prepared to entrepreneurial activity you would like to be in. So you are trying not to find the answers, but you are trying to be part of the environment, part of the atmosphere, and owing to this atmosphere you start acting. As a person whose father was reading just 1 page every 5 seconds, and it was a painful experience for me because I understood I would never be able to read like that. I understood I should read something different. So in the past, my father told me books by heart, and later I understood that he was really very, very specific, and he remembered all the facts pretty well.
So then I realized this is going to be my niche, this is going to be my differentiation point, and I'll be able to read more than my father did when he was younger. I can tell you the Chukcha North Russian. Well, you need to read, and any business book gives you ideas, and the most important is lets you know how to think straight from the strategic point of view. I would like to ask you 2 more questions, serious questions. Irina, what are the taboos that you have when you practice entrepreneurship? Taboo in entrepreneurship, the most important is you have to deliver what you promise. Taboo is when you promise but never deliver. So in 1995, Textile Contact managed to take off well because we always did what we promised, and we didn't blame any crisis in environment. You have to do what you have promised. Just do your business, and no matter how much it costs. The reputation is the most important thing that you have. Never take more money than you can return in 5 years' time. That's the taboo that we have. Never borrow money than you cannot return. We're talking about internal taboo. Do not the right thing, but do the good thing. If you feel the difference, you know the balance. For me, what is important is to be in harmony with myself. Everything you do should come from the inside. People do see everything, people understand everything. Once you've earned money, then you realize that you can say that I did the right thing. And the last question from Irina. What do you think? Should you be waiting and observing somebody else's business and sometimes later start your own, or should you launch your own business right away? Start your own business or first get engaged in somebody else's business. All variants are good, depends on your personality. My personality is that I want to come up with something new and be a monopoly for some times, so that nobody is catching up with me. Once I'm got caught up by somebody, well, then it's a little bit more difficult. There are some people who start working for somebody and then launch their own business. Some people work for somebody else's business for the entire life of theirs. It depends on the ambition and the energy of the person to be number one, to be just like anybody else, or to work for somebody. All types of businesses are good. There are no clear-cut recipe, and just like there are no unified recipes in business. I have failed. I never worked for somebody. Ever since I was a student, I worked for myself. I've been self-employed, and at the same time I worked at a project institution as an engineer, mechanic. But then I switched and I became fully self-employed. This is a successful story, but there's a lot of unsuccessful startups, and it's never too late to begin. Amancio Ortega, Zara Berska, another owner,
his business, he launched his business when he was 37. Before that, he worked at a tailor shop as a hired hand, and only when he was 37, they launched their first business textile plant, and then later they launched Zara when they had failed to sell a certain amount of products that they had produced, and they had to sell it through their channels. So if you, which is more important, experience of money? I don't know how to answer that. Two things are important. Sometimes one thing is more important than the other. Money is more important than experience, but you need to be persistent, competent, and you need to be willing to do business, to run your business. I've already answered this question. Listen to yourself. You're all unique. You have your own path to follow. You have your own track to follow, and find the track and you will be happy. Never get tuned, adjusted to the trends, fashion trends. This is a bad piece of advice, to follow the trends. Don't do just like anybody else if you're strong enough. But I think you're strong people. Let me give you an example. When the Americans were participating in statutory capital wars, they liked us and they were following everything because the venture capitalism. It was the year 2000, and what was on trend back then was the .com startups were on the rise. But I work at the FMCG, and Americans tell me, Vladimir, you have to go to Moscow to attend the forum. We pay for everything. .com is so much popular. But FMCG was not shouldn't go there. And I told them, okay, let's go. We went there with some other people, like a big delegation. We stayed at a cool hotel for a week. International investors arrived. They told about their .com success, and I was there. I couldn't understand a damn word. I was thinking about the FMCG. They, on their hand, were talking about .com. How come that today you make the company and in the month's time you sell it 100 times more expensive? I came back, and the Americans were asking me when I was back to KIEF, shall we open .com? The Americans say, shall we open .com? I said, let me think about it. In a year's time, it was turned out to be a bubble of those .com companies. You need to be well prepared. You cannot don't do anything out of the blue. But when you've managed, when you've thought well about everything, no matter what there's going on, you need to follow your life, no matter how many dogs are barking at you, trying to stop you. Going back to what Irina has asked you, a lot of entrepreneurs became entrepreneurs because they were stunned by the inefficiency of their employers. If your boss is a good employer, it's highly unlikely that you will become owner of your business. I was a hired hand only for 1 month. When I told my boss to increase the profitability of the company, he told me just mind my own business. So I decided to have my own business. My wife has been a little bit more successful. She worked for 3 years. She suggested a lot to her employer. He refused. She wanted to have special women's shops for women. He refused, then she quit. If we're talking about the family business, the thing is different. Then you have to work for 5 years in somebody else's company to get promoted, and then to be able to be an efficient leader. Because if you go to the family business to become a manager, everybody look at you as son of the boss, or look at son of the boss, or daughter of the boss. This will not contribute into your efficiency. So if you're not inheriting hire, try to work and you set up your business. If you are entitled to a business, you need to work for 5 years out of the family company and then come back to your family company. And the winner is the last question. So Irina, please come up to the stage, and we will have a family picture taken. And we will give you the book about Steve Jobs, signed by everyone. Thank you very much. Let's get together and have a picture taken of us.